Hare Krishna. Welcome to all the devotees in today's session of the Secrets of Bhagavad Gita. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Vayam Rupah Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So today we are going to discuss Bhagavad Gita chapter 1, text number 44, 45 and 46. We are going to discuss three verses today. So let us start. Aho bata mahat papam kartum vyavasita vayam yadrajya sukhalobhena hantum swajana mudyataha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Translation: Alas, how strange it is that we are preparing to commit greatly sinful acts. Driven by the desire to enjoy royal happiness, we are intent on killing our own kinsmen. These are the words of Arjuna in grief. Purport: driven by selfish motives, one may be inclined to such sinful acts as the killing of one's own brother, father, or mother. Excuse me. There are many such instances in the history of the world. So Arjuna is worried about uh, committing a sin of killing one's kinsmen, particularly his elderly members, his gurus, because he is a saintly person and just for gaining material kingdom, he does not think it worth to kill his own relatives. What to speak of uh, killing his gurus? So that should be the consideration of of any saintly person. We should not be uh, interested in such material gain because after all everything in our life is temporary, so there is no point in fighting over things which are temporary, which will not be with us for eternity. So that's the uh, heart of Arjuna's arguments here. Continuing, but Arjuna, being a saintly devotee of the Lord, is always conscious of moral principles and therefore takes care to avoid such activities. So it is a uh, remarkable only in saintly personalities or devotees of the Lord, particularly Vaishnavas, to demonstrate such kind of compassion toward all living entities. And uh, they are not only worried about their own relatives, but they are also worried about all living beings, not just human beings, but all living beings. So Arjuna, though he is a Kshatriya and he has been trained into killing his opponents, and that also includes other animals from the enemy sides. So he is expert enough to kill his enemies or his supporters. However, because he is a uh, Vaishnava, it's a pure Vaishnava, so he hesitates to commit such activities only for some insignificant material gain. So, though according to Kshatriya Dharma, Arjuna is supposed to fight on the occasion of fighting, uh, that's considered a privilege for a Kshatriya. But Arjuna is not just convinced by ordinary dharma. He is not convinced because uh, he considers to killing of his superiors is a sinful act, no matter it whether it is uh, even if it comes within the performance of Kshatriya dharma. So that was Arjuna's dilemma. That at uh, one side he knows that he is a Kshatriya and he must carry out his duties. On the other hand, he also finds himself into uh, confusion because these are not ordinary people. These are his gurus. So, continuing the next verse, यदि माम प्रतीकारम अशस्त्रम शस्त्रपाणयः धार्तराष्ट्रा रणे हन्योस्तन्मे क्षेमतरम भवेत्. Translation: better for me if the sons of Dhritarashtra, weapons in hand, were to kill me unarmed and unresisting on the battlefield. So Arjuna is expressing his extreme disappointment and dislike in fighting with his superiors, even with his own relatives, his brothers like Duryodhana. He thinks that even if I die on this battlefield, uh, and my own brothers and my gurus kill me, that would be better for me. So that's the height of his frustration here. So we'll read the purport. It is a custom, according to Kshatriya fighting principles, that an unarmed and unwilling foe should not be attacked. So Arjuna knows this very well that if the enemy is unarmed or he is not willing to fight, then he should not be attacked. That's the general Kshatriya moral principle. Though sometimes uh, in some certain situations, uh, those are not so devoted to Kshatriya moral principles, they may violate this. Or maybe in emergencies, Kshatriyas may have to violate such ordinary rules of uh, war conducts. So, uh, why Arjuna is saying these particular statements here? Because he knows that uh, even if he doesn't want to fight, and if he does not take part in the war field or just stands there, it is very likely that Duryodhana and his supporters would kill him, even if he does not protest them. And Arjuna, in anticipation of this argument, he uh, in advance declares his statement that uh, I know that Duryodhana and his supporters, they are not saintly uh, as Pandavas, and they may kill us. Particularly, he's talking about himself, but still, I'm prepared for that. So basically, he establishes his stand firmly that I'm do not want to fight at any cost. I know all the angles of fight. I know I would be killed, but still, somehow or other, I'm not convinced that I should fight with my superiors or even my with my own relatives like Duryodhana. Next, Arjuna, however, decided that even if attacked by the enemy in such an awkward position, he would not fight. He did not consider how much the other party was bent upon fighting. So that's a sign of a saintly person. He does not think in terms of how others would react, and that's a sign of any uh, dharmic person or any religious minded person, because often we uh, tend to meditate on how others are behaving with us, but saintly personalities or strict followers of dharma, they do not think about how others are uh, behaving towards them. Instead, they always think how they are able to perform dharma or not. So, in all circumstances, their only focus is how best they can follow their own individual dharma. For example, Maharaj Yudhishthira. So, Pandavas were insulted in the assembly of Kurus. Uh, Mother Draupadi was also highly insulted. But still, Maharaj Yudhishthira he accepted the reality, and he did not act out of passion. Though we see that Bhima's anger was like a thunderbolt. He was waiting for Yudhishthira to get his command so that he could immediately kill Duryodhana and all his brothers or all his supporters. However, we see that uh, Maharaj Yudhishthira, he remained calm in that awkward situation, and he still thought of his own dharma because he accepted that he would be a slave of Duryodhana. As per the rules of the gambling, he was defeated. So he just accepted his own fate, and he had firm faith in dharma that if they are following their own dharma, they will be protected. So that's a uh, commendable commitment to dharma, which is not generally found in ordinary people. Ordinary people or general people, when they are faced with awkward situations or uncomfortable situations, they tend to find some excuse for not following dharma that we see in our real life. So when everything goes well, then we talk about dharma. When something goes wrong, excuse me. But when something goes wrong, then uh, we do find some reasons or some excuses to not follow our dharma, which is supposed to be followed in all times. So uh, this is uh, uh, a very how we can say it's not a conducive mentality for following dharma. Whenever situations are favorable, we favor dharma, and when situations are not favorable, we discard dharma. So that is not the conducive mentality uh, to follow dharma, because by such selective mentality, we would not get the actual benefit of following dharma, because this is not how dharma should be followed. Uh, Also, uh, by following dharma on regular basis or in favorable situations, we develop such a commitment or serious commitment to follow dharma. That is also a fact. So uh, it may be that in the beginning we may not have such a uh, strong commitment to follow dharma. However, we should uh, keep following dharma so that one day we would also attain such commitment. So that is a test for us how we apply dharma in our life, and that is why it's very imperative to apply dharma in all minute details of our life. Many times we do not pay attention to uh, the minute details of dharma. For example, to tell lie, even in ordinary situation, when there is not when there is, when there is not an absolute need to tell a lie. For example, somebody calls us or where are you? We may immediately say, oh, I'm not at my home or I'm outside my home. Something which is not true. So this kind of detail may be insignificant in today's society. That anyway we can just avoid some people just by telling some lie. But we should also understand that by such a practice of telling a lie in our in such details, we may uh, forget to follow even high dharmas gradually. So we should not develop this habit of telling lies, even in dreams. So that should be our commitment. and only with this commitment we will get strength to follow our dharma, individual dharma, even in uncomfortable situations. So, uh, in, in Shastras, in Puranas, there are many instances, very uncomfortable situations where many great personalities they followed their dharma at any cost, even at the cost of their lives, or even at the cost of their uh, nears and dears. So sometimes it may be very inspiring to hear these stories, but we should also understand that these stories are real stories, and it is equally applicable to our own lives, because life is complex and life is difficult. Let's not assume that life is so smooth, and sometimes we tend to think that if we have some money or some fame or some skill, then we are safe, but that is not the way. Life is not that easy. Even if somebody has fame, has some money, or has some followers, still life is complicated. That's a reality. We should always ready to embrace it and live by it. So, what best we can do with our life is to follow our dharma under all circumstances, and that will keep us safe, healthy, happy, and under all circumstances. If we stray away from following dharma, then there is a risk that we will be devoured by the influence of adharma, and it's particularly in Kali Yuga, it is very risky to go towards adharma. Even if uh, uh, even such adharma is not uh, it's not really uh, a grave adharma in appearance. Just like in ordinary dealings, we cheat people that by telling lie or something, we may say anything just to convince someone. So this is also adharma. So let's uh, be uh, protected by the influence of adharma, even in minute details. If we think that these details do not really matter, we can just get away with adharma. Uh, that is not a fact. So just by such a bad habits of not following dharma in details, we will develop the habit of ignoring dharma or accepting adharma whenever it is favorable to our sense gratification. So let's not develop such a bad habit, because once we develop some habits, when it becomes a habit, then it's very difficult to give it up. So that is also another reality of life. So better late than never. So from the very beginning of life, we should develop such good habits or good practices, and we should not shy away from following dharma, even if others may make fun of us. There are possibilities that our own relatives, our own family members, our friends, they will mock us that what you are doing, uh, you're acting like a saintly person. What is this? You should be like us. But we should understand that we have some vows, some morals, some values in our life. Whereas uh, the people who push us towards adharma, they are uh, in ignorance. So adharma or ignorance may be very attractive in nature, but it is a very dangerous path. And all great personalities in past, they have always kept themselves away from adharma, even in small details. So Arjuna, because he is a saintly person, so he doesn't want to. fight with his superiors just for some material gain. So this is a very subtle point. It's not so. Uh, According to Kshatriya Dharma, it is very clear that Arjuna is supposed to fight with his enemies, no matter who they are. But uh, because of Arjuna is a saintly person, he followed dharma in every minute details. He can understand that killing superior just for material gain is uh, not justified. Mahamisya sarvabhutani. So I'm supposed to respect my elders. I'm supposed to serve them, and uh, it is clearly a dharma for Arjuna. He could see adharma in this act. Now, it's a different thing that Lord Shri Krishna, who is the supreme personality of Godhead, uh, had different plan for Arjuna. So he wanted Arjuna to become an instrument for killing all the supporters of adharma. So that's a different picture. But from Arjuna's point of view, he his point was absolutely correct, and all saintly persons would appreciate Arjuna's argument. And we say now what Arjuna does here. Sanjaya Uvacha Eva Muktva Arjuna Sankhe Rathopastha Upavishat Visritya Sasharam Chapam Shok Samvigna Manasaha. Translation. Sanjaya said, Arjuna, having thus spoken on the battlefield, cast aside his bow and arrows and sat down on the chariot, his mind overwhelmed with grief. So Arjuna gave up his bow and arrows uh, in frustration, and he declared that he's not going to fight. That's it. Purport. While observing the situation of his enemy, Arjuna stood up on the chariot, but he was so afflicted with lamentation that he sat down again, setting aside his bow and arrows. So in the beginning, he was so enthusiastic to fight with his foes or enemies, but once he realized over the situation deeply, uh, he gave up all his enthusiasm to fight with his uh, enemies, Duryodhana and his gurus. Such a kind and soft hearted person in the devotional service of the Lord is fit to receive self knowledge. And why Arjuna could do that? Because Arjuna was saintly in nature. And because of his saintly behavior, we will see how Lord Shri Krishna would be uh, impelled to give him divine knowledge. So Arjuna is a pure devotee and he is an ocean of knowledge. He doesn't need knowledge from anyone. However, uh, as a pastime, he is demonstrating how being saintly attracts the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he how even a conditioned soul can get enlightened by the Supreme Personality of Godhead or his representative if he is on the path of dharma, um, and he remains saintly under all situations. So that's a message we can learn from this particular verses. In our daily life also we come across so many challenges, uh, generally in the shastric terms it's called dharma sankatam. So sometimes we may get bewildered what to do. This is also dharma, that is also dharma, which dharma should be followed. So that is why we are discussing scriptures here. So there are ample guidance in the dharma shastras and other puranas. So uh, there is always a hierarchy between dharmas. So we have to consider which dharma is higher and which dharma is lower. So it's a science, there is no doubt about it. And that is why it takes some time to imbibe these teachings in our life. So, uh, but whatever we uh, receive from scriptures, let us try our best to apply these teachings in our life so that whenever we face with difficult situations, which generally come in everyone's life. No one is an exception. So at that time, we can be confident uh, with ourselves that this is my duty. As Arjuna was sent person convinced that he should not fight with his superiors. So that's a very good decision from the point of view of dharma. Now, Lord Shri Krishna had a different plan for Mahabharata war, and he wanted Arjuna to simply act as an instrument on his behalf. So that's a different thing. Let us not argue over this. Then why Lord Shri Krishna encouraged Arjuna to fight with his superiors, if that was correct? So that's another perspective that uh, Lord Shri Krishna is the upholder of dharma. Yada yada hai dharmasya glanirбhavati bharata abhittanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijami. So he upholds dharma. So sometimes he may take decisions which are uh, inconceivable to ordinary dharma or ordinary viewpoint of view of dharma. So Arjuna has some understanding of dharma, but here Lord Shri Krishna, uh, who is responsible for upholding dharma in society, uh, he has decided that this is how I want to establish dharma because he is the ultimate controller. So that was his decision, and when we in the scriptures it is always mentioned that whatever God is God is good. In almost in all religion there is a saying that oh God is good. So whatever he does, it's always good and perfect because he is going to control the situations. He is going to handle everything. So, but when it comes to uh, handle on ourselves, then we have to follow the ordinary guidelines of dharma. However, when there are such unique situations in life, particularly planned by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which generally does not occur in our life, it is the privilege of great saintly personalities. So at least that time we should respect the will of the Lord. Bali asti kevalam ishwarecha. So the will of the Lord should prevail everywhere. Okay, so I will stop here. If there is any question, we can take, and if there is no question, then we can stop here. Okay, so from Monday we will start chapter number 2. So we have successfully completed the first chapter, and I thank you all for participating in this Bhagavad Gita study. So it is also an inspiration for me, and that devotees are interested to uh, dive deep into the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, and uh, it is good for everyone. So for me, it's an boon, it's an vardhanam. So I thank you all for joining this class. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo Namaha. Hare Krishna. Thank you.